Have you ever wondered why some people live longer and better? Maybe the secret isn't in the tests or the diets, but in something invisible, subtle, that begins inside. A silent disposition, a way of seeing the world that changes everything, even when nothing changes on the outside. Imagine waking up with lightness, even at 88 years old, having a reason to get out of bed, and a feeling that your life, even now, is still fertile with purpose. This is more than healthy longevity. It's a kind of inner strength that isn't measured in heartbeats, but in meaning. What if true youth isn't in the body, but in what you choose to cultivate in the mind? Maybe this video is a door, because there is a secret, simple but powerful, that can transform the way you age. If this image touched something in you, like this video, and send it to someone who also deserves to live with presence until the last breath. 1. Don't retire from life. Stay engaged in activities that bring purpose and satisfaction. There comes a time when the world seems to say, now you must stop, as if the time to contribute had passed, and all that's left is to wait for the end. But something inside still pulses silently, a will to keep belonging, creating, serving. Retirement may come for social roles, but it never has to reach the soul. Because the body can rest, but the heart still wants to live with purpose. And in that desire lies true healthy longevity. What few realize is that active aging doesn't mean being on the move all the time. It means staying interested, looking at the world with a learner's eyes, seeking every day a reason to get up. It can be a small act of caring for a plant, a conversation with someone younger, a half-read book. Each gesture that connects us to life renews not just time, but the quality of presence in each day. Many believe that staying engaged means doing more, but sometimes it's the opposite. It means doing with more meaning, preparing a meal with attention, writing a letter in silence, walking not out of obligation, but to observe the changing sky. When we turn simple actions into conscious rituals, life stops being a sequence of chores and becomes sacred again. That's what holistic health proposes for us. Mental and physical well-being rooted in meaning. Maybe you were taught to quiet down with time, to step aside, not to bother. But the truth is, your experience is a treasure. And when you share your story, even in silence, even with a look, you plant a seed of wisdom in someone. Aging with purpose is not about occupying space. It's about inhabiting time with presence. It's remembering that there is still something in you that the world needs to hear. Try a small ritual today. Choose something you used to do that brought you joy. Drawing, embroidering, listening to music, writing. Set aside 15 minutes to reconnect with that. Not out of obligation, but out of curiosity. Notice how this gesture shifts your internal state, how your body responds with more energy, how your mind calms. Positive aging begins when we stop defining ourselves by what has passed and start reinventing ourselves with lightness. Imagine an old garden, ancient trees, deep roots, some dry leaves on the ground. But there, hidden among the branches, a new sprout begins to grow. Time hasn't ended, it just changed pace. Life after 60 is like that. The body may no longer rush, but it still holds a soft power. All it needs is the right soil, attention, intention, gentleness. Each day can be fertile if cultivated with care. And then, everything makes sense. Longevity is not just about surviving longer. It's about living each moment peacefully. It's not about fighting time, but making peace with it. The secret is not in resisting aging, but in inhabiting it with dignity. When purpose guides your days, even silence gains meaning. And even fatigue becomes a reminder that you are still present. whole, alive, real. But there's one detail that changes everything. 2. Avoid overthinking the future. Value the present and ease anticipatory anxiety. There's a kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from the body. It comes from the mind trying to live tomorrow, before today has even ended. You wake up already worried about next week. You eat while planning next month. Even rest feels like preparation for something else. And slowly, the present moment, this soft breath, this warm cup of tea, becomes invisible. But peace doesn't live in the future. It only ever knocks at the door of now. What few realize is that overplanning is not clarity. It's control disguised as care. We imagine that if we can think of every possible outcome, we'll be safe. But the price is presence. The cost is joy. Life becomes a long rehearsal for a play that never starts. Mindfulness isn't just about slowing down. It's about choosing not to live in the scenes that haven't arrived yet. True emotional balance is born in this gentle discipline. Imagine you're sitting by a quiet lake. No ripples, just stillness. Now imagine tossing one stone after another, trying to predict every movement of the water. That's what we do when we obsess about the future. We disturb the peace we were meant to enjoy. Each thought is a stone, and the more we throw, the less we see. Aging positively means learning to let the lake stay still, to watch, without trying to manage the reflection. Try this small ritual. The next time your thoughts rush ahead, place one hand on your chest and whisper to yourself, "Right now, I am here." Breathe in, breathe out, feel the ground, look around. Come back to what is, not what might be. Do this every morning, even for 1 minute. Let that minute become a sacred pause, a returning. That's not just mental well-being, it's soul nourishment. It's giving the present the respect it deserves. Sometimes we think worrying is love, that if we don't anticipate every danger, we're being careless. But anxiety isn't preparation, it's absence. It removes us from the only place we have power, this exact moment. And the truth is, no amount of worry has ever protected a heart from life. Aging with peace isn't about controlling outcomes. It's about trusting your presence to meet whatever comes. One breath at a time, one morning at a time. I remember a woman who used to check the weather 3 times before leaving the house. Not because of the rain, but because she feared being unprepared. One day she stopped. She stepped outside, uncertain, umbrella in hand, and laughed when the sun touched her face. That moment changed everything. She said, "I didn't know I could feel safe without knowing what's next." That's the kind of release we all deserve. That's true emotional longevity. And then, everything becomes clear. The secret isn't in predicting storms. It's in knowing how to return to stillness when they pass. The future may hold uncertainty, but this moment holds peace, if we're willing to receive it. You don't need to solve tomorrow. You only need to meet today, fully, kindly, with open hands. That's not just aging well, it's living with soul. But there's something even deeper that most people never notice. 3. See aging as a mission, not a curse. There's a quiet heaviness that comes from how society talks about aging, as if getting older were a slow disappearance, a soft fading into irrelevance. You feel it in the way people speak to you, slower, softer, as if you're not really there. But what if that view was wrong? What if aging wasn't a decline, but an unfolding? Not the end of something, but the deepening of everything that once felt scattered. What few understand is that aging is not punishment, it's privilege. A rare chance to return to yourself, no longer shaped by roles, achievements, or expectations. It is the moment when you stop being what others needed and start becoming what your soul always was. When you were young, you were busy surviving. Now, you are allowed to observe, and that observation is sacred. Healthy longevity starts with seeing time, not as a thief, but as a guide. There's a sacred mission in aging, to transform experience into wisdom, to turn silence into presence, to let go of proving and begin offering. Not advice, not solutions, but presence. A gaze that doesn't judge, a voice that doesn't rush, a mind that has seen storms come and go and still believes in spring. That is the true gift of aging with purpose. It's not about staying young. It's about becoming timeless in the way you care. Try this. Take one story from your life, one that once hurt, and write it again. But from your eyes today. Let the version that suffered be held by the version that survived. Not to erase the pain, but to give it a home. This ritual of re-seeing brings peace. It turns memory into meaning. And purpose begins here, when nothing needs to be changed, just understood. This is emotional healing. This is mindful aging. We often forget that the tree does not resent its wrinkles. The roots do not envy the seeds. There is a dignity in what is old, a strength in what has endured. And you, with your years, carry a truth that no book can teach. You are not becoming less. You are becoming more, distilled, clearer, braver. Aging is not a loss. It's a concentration of essence, of grace, of life itself, simplified into what truly matters. But somewhere along the journey, a subtle enemy disguises itself as loyalty fauste, the habit of clinging to roles that no longer nourish, holding on to relationships that silence you, trying to stay needed instead of staying real. This quiet self-abandonment wears the face of kindness, but it steals your energy, your clarity, your peace. And you don't need to keep sacrificing to feel worthy. You can protect your presence and still be full of love. I once met a man who stopped fixing everything. He said, "I realize my presence is enough." And when he did, his grown children started coming not for advice, but for warmth. The world needs your stillness now, not your solutions. This is your mission, to be here, unhurried, to show that presence is power, that simplicity is strength, and that a long life is not measured by years, but by the moments you choose to inhabit fully. And so, maybe aging isn't something that happens to you. Maybe it's something you are here to teach, to embody, to offer, like a lantern lighting the way. And the mission is simple. Live in a way that gives others permission to slow down, to soften, to listen. If that's not a sacred purpose, what is? But there is something even more subtle that quietly drains this presence. 4. Replace complaining with curiosity. It starts small, a sigh at breakfast, a complaint about the weather, a grumble about a sore joint. And soon, these words become the background music of the day. Not loud, just constant. A quiet fog that settles over every moment. But what if the real weight you're carrying isn't in your body? It's in your language. What we repeat, we beoy. And every time we name something as burden, we deny the space it had to become blessing. What few people notice is how complaining pretends to be connection. It makes conversations feel safer. It gives people something to agree on. But underneath it, there's a subtle message. I have no power here. That belief begins to shape our health, our energy, our aging. It's not just words, it's identity. Choosing curiosity instead isn't naivety. It's courage. It's a way of saying, there is still something here worth exploring, even now. A woman once told me she stopped saying, I'm tired of this pain, and started asking, what is this pain trying to show me? That single shift changed her life. She began noticing patterns, responding to her body differently, sleeping better. That's the strength of a curious mind. It invites healing. Emotional balance isn't found in having no problems. It's found in asking better questions when problems come. That's how mental wellness grows, not from perfect days, but from present ones. Here's a quiet practice. Today, when something frustrates you, whisper gently, "What is this moment asking of me?" Just that. No judgment, no fixing. Just observe. Let the question replace the complaint. Let your breath answer before your words do. Over time, this becomes a rhythm, a return to clarity. And what used to feel like noise becomes insight. This is healthy aging. A mind that remains soft, but not submissive. Awake, but not reactive. But there's a habit many carry, so common it hides in plain sight. Listening to advice that invalidates your own truth. A friend says, "Don't be so sensitive." A doctor dismisses your intuition. You nod, you smile, you oi. And yet, something in your chest tightens. This kind of listening isn't respect. It's self-abandonment. Every time you silence your knowing, you dim your presence. And over time, that silence becomes fatigue. Not of the body, but of the souls. The alternative isn't rebellion. It's return. Return to the voice inside you that always knew when to rest, when to say no, when to let go. Replace obedience with observation. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" try asking, "What feels deeply right for me now?" This isn't selfishness, it's health. It's mindfulness. It's the foundation of emotional longevity. Living as someone who listens first to herself and lets that wisdom ripple outward with love. I remember an elder who started each morning by asking herself a new question. What will surprise me today? She said it made her feel like a child again, open, available, alive. Her joints still ached. Her memory slipped sometimes, but her eyes sparkled. That is the gift of curiosity. It doesn't remove pain. It dissolves resistance. And that is where peace lives. Not in certainty, but in wonder. And maybe the secret isn't fixing what's wrong. It's noticing what's still whole, what's still here, what's still possible, even now, even in the quiet ache of age. You don't have to deny what hurts. Just stop letting it be the only thing you see. But the next truth is even more intimate. 5. Trust that the body hears your thoughts. There are days when the body feels heavy without reason. The joints ache, the breath shortens, and even small tasks seem distant. And yet, the test results are normal. The doctor says you're fine. So where is the weight coming from? The answer is quieter than we expect. It's not in the blood, but in the thoughts. Because the body doesn't just carry years. It carries what you believe about those years. It carries the stories you repeat to yourself. What many never realize is that every thought has a texture, a vibration. And just like sound can shatter glass, certain beliefs, repeated silently, can drain the strength from your cells. I'm too old for this. I can't change anymore. It's too late. These phrases may seem innocent, even logical, but the body listens. And over time, it starts to obey. Not because it's broken, but because it's loyal to the mind it belongs to. Imagine your body as a faithful animal. It hears your tone more than your words. If you speak to it with fear, it flinches. If you speak with kindness, it relaxes. Aging with emotional balance means becoming a gentler master, not denying limitations, but not condemning them either. Speaking to your needs as if they were old friends. touching your skin like it still belongs to you, thinking thoughts that bless, not burden. That is well-being. That is mindfulness. Here's a simple ritual. Once a day, place both hands over your heart, close your eyes, and be one kind sentence to your body, out loud, even if it feels strange. Thank you for holding me. You don't have to rush. You're safe now. Let your voice become medicine. Let your thoughts become shelter. This is not just poetic. It is physiological. Studies call it neuroplasticity. We call it presence. The power to choose the narrative and let healing begin. A woman once told me that when she started changing her thoughts, her digestion changed. Her sleep deepened. Her shoulders softened. She hadn't taken any new medication, only new sentence. She replaced "I'm falling apart" with "I'm listening." She stopped fighting her body, and it stopped fighting back. That's the gift of alignment. When what you think, feel, and do are in harmony, aging doesn't feel like decline. It feels like unfolding, like truth revealing itself. But we're often taught the opposite. To scold the body when it slows, to fear it when it changes, to hide it when it no longer looks young. This rejection isn't natural. It's learned. And it teaches the body to defend, not to trust. The more we reject, the more it tightens. The more we accept, the more it opens. And in that opening lies renewal, the kind that no pill can offer. I once met a man who whispered to his own hands every night before bed. "You've held so much," he'd say. "You've done enough." And somehow, those hands, gnarled, trembling, aged, looked peaceful. That's the secret. The body may age, but the way it feels inside that aging is shaped by your words. You are not just flesh. You are the voice inside the flesh. Speak wisely. And maybe that's the quiet truth we've forgotten. Your thoughts are not private. They live in your spine, your breath, your sleep, your heartbeat. And every kind one is a form of medicine. Not loud, not instant, but real. And now, everything begins to make sense. There is something extraordinary that happens when we stop fighting time and begin listening to it. Not with urgency, not with fear, but with reverence. A long life is not made in years. It's made in the way you inhabit one single moment, completely, with your whole breath, with your full totalness, with a presence that asks for nothing but this. Because in the end, all the advice, all the routines, all the knowledge, they point to one truth. The way you speak to life is the way life will speak back to you. And if that voice inside is gentle, your steps will be light. If that voice is curious, your days will feel new. If that voice is loving, your aging will become sacred. You don't need to earn permission to rest. You don't need to prove your worth with productivity. You don't need to apologize for being slower, quieter, more still. You are not disappearing. You are becoming refined, distilled, like the last rays of sun before evening. Not weaker, just warmer. And then, everything makes sense. The reason some people live past 90 with peace and clarity is not because their bodies are stronger. It's because they refuse to retire from their own spirit. They kept choosing wonder over worry, curiosity over complaint, kindness over pressure, stillness over noise. The body will age, that is nature. But the soul chooses whether to grow or shrink, whether to open like a flower or close like a fist. And maybe the real question isn't how long we live, but how deeply, how quietly, how kindly. Because in the end, it was never about fighting death. It was about remembering how to live. even while aging. And the ones who do, they don't just survive time, they sanctify it. Sometimes the greatest shift doesn't require change. It only asks for a new way de olar. A long, vibrant life isn't built through effort alone. It's shaped by presence, by the thoughts you water, by the silence you honor, by the way you choose again and again to stay open, even as things slow down. Healthy aging isn't about refusing rest. It's about letting rest become sacred. And a positive mindset? It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about trusting that you are still becoming. Even now, even here. This is your reminder. You can wake up tomorrow and not just exist, but truly live. You can feel the wind on your skin and let it be enough. You can drink tea slowly and let that be healing. You can speak to your body like it's your oldest companion and let that be medicine. This journey we walked together wasn't a list of tips. It was an invitation to reclaim the simple rituals that make you feel alive, to speak to yourself with the same tenderness you once gave to everyone else. And now, maybe today is the day you begin. So try this tonight. Before bed, place your hand on your chest and whisper, "I still belong to life." Say it softly, and let the body believe it. If this message touched a quiet part of you, share it with someone who needs light. And in the comments, tell me, what belief are you ready to let go so your body can feel safe again? And if your heart is still open, there's another video right above that continues this journey. It might be the piece you didn't know you were missing. I'll meet you there.